She promised forever, but when I found her with someone else, I finally saw the truth. I sacrificed everything for their future, then watched it shatter in one moment of betrayal. Found my wife's loyalty lying beside another man. I'm not really the type of guy to air my personal life online, but lately, I've been walking around with this weight in my chest that I can't seem to shake. Maybe writing this out will help. Or maybe someone else reading this will learn something before it's too late. I'm William. I met Sophia just after college, when I was 25 and trying to figure out life. She was a friend of a friend. I still remember the way she laughed at my dumb jokes, like she genuinely thought I was funny. That's the thing about Sophia. She knew how to make you feel like the most important person in the room. We started dating that summer, and it didn't take long before I was head over heels. She wasn't just beautiful. She had this energy, this charm. She talked about wanting to build something real. A home. A family. She said she wanted a man who believed in loyalty. That sounded like everything I'd ever wanted too. We moved in together after a year and got married 2 years later. I thought we were building something solid. I'd work extra hours so we could save for a house. I gave up weekends with friends, skipped trips, always trying to keep our future in focus. We didn't have much, but I thought we had enough. We had each other. Sophia was the kind of person who'd post pictures of us with captions like, "My forever person," and "building our dream life." And I believed every word. I had no reason not to. We celebrated every anniversary like it was a milestone. I'd write her handwritten notes. She said she kept every one. Looking back now, there were signs. The little things that didn't make sense. Times she was too tired to talk, or vague about where she'd been. Moments where her phone was suddenly always face down. But you don't want to live in suspicion when you trust someone. I loved her too much to question it. I figured life was just stressful. People drift a little sometimes. You talk it out, and it passes. I didn't know that while I was working late hours, taking on side gigs to help us save faster for our first down payment, she was spending her time somewhere else, with someone else. If you've ever believed in someone so deeply that their betrayal feels like a hole in your chest, then maybe you'll understand why this story still hurts to tell. She was my wife, my partner, the person I chose to build a life with. And I didn't know, not really, who she actually was. What do you do when you realize the person sleeping beside you has been living a second life? When you discover that all the little doubts you brushed off were actually warnings you chose not to see? I wish this story had stayed simple, just a couple building their life. But life has a way of flipping itself upside down when you least expect it. I'm not telling this for sympathy. I'm telling it because betrayal doesn't always come with flashing lights or loud warnings. Sometimes, it hides behind sweet smiles and "I love US." Sometimes, it takes years to see the truth. It was a Thursday afternoon. Nothing special, just one of those quiet days that should have come and gone like any other. I'd wrapped up my site visit early. Construction job south of town was delayed due to a materials issue, so I had the rest of the day off. I thought about surprising Sophia with lunch. She loved that taco truck by Garden of the Gods, and I figured we could sit in the park and just talk like we used to. We hadn't done that in a while. I never expected to come home and find her car already in the driveway. She was supposed to be at her friend Abby's place for a book club meeting. At first, I just assumed she got home early. No big deal. But as I got out of my truck, something felt off. The house was too quiet. Just silence. I stepped inside. The living room looked normal, even cozy, blanket on the couch, her coffee mug half full on the side table. But there was this gut feeling. Something small, but nagging. Then I heard it. Voices. Not from the TV. From upstairs. I called her name. Nothing. The second time I said it. Louder, still no answer. I climbed the stairs slowly. I wish I could say I was bracing myself, that I had some idea of what I'd find. But the truth is, I was confused. I didn't expect it. Not even when I stood in front of our bedroom door, half open. Not until I pushed it just a little more. There she was. Sophia. My wife. In bed. Not alone. She didn't scream. Didn't rush to explain. She just stared at me like a kid caught stealing. The man beside her pulled the blanket up, half covering his face. Some guy I'd never seen before. Looked younger. Barely said a word. And me? I stood there, frozen in that moment, not even moving. I felt this weird quiet, like my body hadn't caught up to my brain. Everything felt slow, unreal. She finally spoke. William, it's not what you think. It was exactly what I thought. I left without saying a word. Drove around town for hours, past places we used to go together. And none of it made sense anymore. None of it felt real. She called me later, crying. Said she made a mistake. Said she was lost and confused. Said she loved me, but needed something different. She even had the nerve to ask if we could talk in person. Talk. After that, I didn't answer. I didn't even know what to say. You work your whole life trying to be the kind of man who shows up, who stays loyal, who puts in the effort. You think that's enough. That love and commitment are enough. But sometimes they aren't. Sometimes the person you love is just playing a role until they find something or someone more exciting. I never hit her, never screamed, never threatened. But that night, I decided I wasn't going back. I slept in my truck in a Walmart parking lot. Not because I didn't have options, but because I needed space to think, to understand how everything I believed in just broke down in one moment. But I've got to ask, if you were in my place, would you have done something different? Or is walking away the only way to keep your dignity? After that night, everything changed. The man I was, the one who believed in Sophia, in our future, in love that could survive anything, was gone. I stayed quiet at first, but beneath that silence, I was planning everything. I knew I couldn't just walk away and let her rewrite the story. I didn't want revenge for the sake of drama. I wanted truth. I wanted consequences. The first thing I did was meet with a lawyer. We'd only been married a little over a year, but legally, that was enough to make things complicated. Luckily, we didn't have kids. I gathered every receipt, every bank statement, every late-night Venmo transfer she'd made when she thought I wasn't watching. Turned out, the guy she was cheating with wasn't some stranger. He was someone from her gym. A trainer. Married himself, ironically. I didn't confront her. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a shouting match. Instead, I let her come to me. She finally showed up at my sister's house, where I'd been staying. She looked smaller. Not physically, just less certain. Like she didn't know how to play her role anymore. No makeup, no rehearsed lines. Just standing there, asking if we could talk. I made a mistake, she said. I miss you, Will. I looked her dead in the eye and said calmly, you didn't just make a mistake, Sophia. You made a choice. You chose him, while lying to my face. Repeatedly. She cried. Tried to say she'd felt disconnected, that I was working too much. That old line. As if my hard work, putting in overtime to build a future, was somehow the reason she ended up in another man's bed. I didn't say much after that. I handed her the divorce papers. Simple. Clean. No drawn-out fight. But what I did next, that was for me. I made sure our mutual friends knew exactly what happened. Not out of bitterness, but because she was already spinning her version of events, saying we grew apart, or that I was too busy for her. I posted nothing personal, just a quiet message thanking everyone for their support during a difficult time and asking them to respect our decision. Then I let the facts speak for themselves. I moved out, took my name off everything we shared. But I didn't just disappear. I rebuilt. I took a job offer in Denver, more pay, better hours. I signed up for therapy, started hitting the gym more consistently. I didn't want to become some bitter guy who swore off love. I just wanted to become someone I could respect again. As for Sophia, last I heard, the guy she cheated with ghosted her. His wife found out and kicked him out. Sophia ended up back at her mom's for a while. She texted me once, about 6 months later. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't realize what she had. I didn't reply. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud. It's not slashing tires or throwing clothes out the window. It's walking away with your head held high and letting the person who wronged you live with the full weight of what they lost. I gave her everything, my time, my trust, my loyalty. And in the end, all she got was the memory of a man who once would have done anything for her and now won't even return her calls. What would you have done in my place? Was I too calm? Too quiet? Or is walking away the strongest thing a man can do? I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.